there is a method to my madness, I promise. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others won't feel insecure around you. Marianne Williamson. This profound quote has resonated with me for as long as I can remember, even when my understanding of it seemed vague, abstract, and limited. Regardless of my understanding, I have always felt and sought after the truth behind the conceptualizations. I have been called a seeker, and for me, attempting to discover why my light frightens me more than the darkness has been a subconscious mission of mine for at least the last 15 years. Fellow Closemasters and honored new member, today I wish to focus my comments almost entirely upon this profound quote. I wish to discuss the notion of light as well as darkness, enlightenment as well as shrinking, and finally, service and love as well as fear, and how we can effectively choose light and love over our deepest fears. In our rudimentary study of light this morning, well, first off, this speech is different than any other I've ever given. And more than any other, this speech has made me tremble. Not necessarily due to the content, but due to the format. Which brings me to my disclosures. Number one, perhaps for the first time, I'm not attempting to impress anyone. I'm not trying to succeed in the traditional sense. I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. It is my simple intention to remain entirely present and to speak my truth directly from my heart. Two, perhaps my greatest self-induced fear in this world is standing up in front of a room full of people with absolutely nothing to say. Which was why I did my intro. Three, previous to now I've memorized every speech that I've given because I felt that if it wasn't memorized, I would have nothing to say. Four, for this speech I have prepared thoughts and concepts only. So please bear with me. In our rudimentary study of light this morning, it is not my intention to discuss the physical characteristics and properties of light as they pertain to photons, wavelengths, or energy. I am more concerned with the eternal values assigned to light. Light, like the vastness of space and time, is eternal. It is unnameable and unknowable. All three are without beginning of days or end of years. And yet, I'm going to attempt to define light using sounds that I make with my mouth, which is impossible. So instead, I appeal to your hearts to feel the truth of my message. First, let's talk about what light is, and then we'll attempt to define what light is not. Simply put, light equals truth equals love. See, with truth, we have this beautiful word, illumination. I was illuminated by the light of truth. Light equals truth. Or you might say, I had this brilliant idea. It was as if a light bulb went off. A light went on in my head. Light equals truth. Love is almost easier. With love, why do we refer to a new or expectant mother as radiant or glowing? Light equals love. Why do we refer to our significant others as the light of our world? Light equals love. why I didn't expect this. Why do I sing You Are My Sunshine? To my daughter. Because light equals love. And this is where it gets really cool. Let's talk about opposites. What do we have in the absence of light? We have darkness. That one's easy. What do we have in the absence of truth? I would say confusion or doubt. What do we have in the absence of love? Darkness. Mental darkness. Utter darkness. I would not say hatred. I would actually put this closer to fear. Fear is the root cause, the root antithesis of love. It's always a movement from fear to love, not a movement from hatred to fear. But imagine that the implications are astounding and far-reaching. Light and darkness cannot coexist and occupy the same space and matter at the same time. The same way truth and confusion cannot occupy the same space and matter at the same time. The same way that love and fear cannot occupy the same space and matter at the same time. Perfect love casteth out all fear, the same way that perfect truth casteth out all confusion and doubt, the same way that perfect light casteth out all darkness. So can it really be that simple? All we really have to do is add more light and love and truth. The answer is yes and no. The better question might be how. And the answer to that is epiphany, realization, revelation. The epiphany is, and it is only divinely appointed, but the epiphany is that we are not the mind-identified voice in the head. We are not the little me that seeks an identity, the little me that craves to be special, the little me that is constantly coveting and comparing, propping ourselves up and pulling ourselves down, the little me that has an insatiable appetite for more, that is obsessed with forms, with thought forms, with emotional forms, with physical forms. This is not our true identity. Our true essence, our true nature is the infinite, limitless, inexhaustible, divine, conscious presence that is aware of the little me. We are pure light, pure truth, and pure love. This is our true identity. This is our true nature. So if we really want to live true and congruent to ourselves, all we have to do is be more truthful, more honest, more loving. 8 years ago, I was on a fast track for self-destruction. I was shrouded in darkness. I was fearful, anxious, I was mind-identified, and I was suffering. I was living a dual life, and I was living totally incongruent to my true nature. At some point, my infinite awareness, the being behind the doing, couldn't live with myself any longer, my mind-identified ego, and I woke up to a beneficent, beautiful reality. I came clean, I sought help. I started living honestly, truthfully, and congruently. And now, I effectively invited in more light and love and truth, and I casted out more darkness, confusion, and fear. And now, 8 years later, I possess a greater peace, a greater balance, and a greater wealth